Many of you have heard the stories behind this one before, but hopefully this one stands alone. So I was over 11,000 miles from home when I had the accident which left my partner dead and me severely injured in hospital in Dunedin, New Zealand in January 2005. We had been travelling together with the intention of settling in Christchurch, he as a doctor and me as a teacher. This part was our holiday to relax and get a flavour of what we would do on our weekends off after we made the official move. And then, one bright January morning, after camping high in Mount Aspiring National Park, I slipped on wet grass and Donal leapt to grab me and the two of us tumbled off a cliff. Donal died at the scene, not that I realised this at the time, and I was helicoptered off the mountain by search and rescue and taken to Dunedin Hospital. In the A&E ward initially, I remember saying that I was actually okay and that no, a catheter would really not be necessary, thank you very much. I could just nip to the toilet if they could help me, as I was a wee bit stiff. I had no idea as to the extent of my injuries. The staff tried to play down what had happened to me and to focus on all the superficial wounds, which involved stitching my right eyelid back together and seeing to the bloody abrasions on my limbs. It wasn't until after I'd spent a night in the ICU when x-rays revealed all the breakages. The C7 fracture in my neck caused the most concern and necessitating having 4 holes drilled into my skull. I remember the sound of the drill echoing around the room and the series of injections into the side of my forehead, feeling that they were penetrating the very core of my being. I remember little of the next days as I lay in a drug-induced stupor. When I woke up and pieced together bits of what had happened, I wanted to close my eyes and shut everything out. Seeing my distress as I gradually emerged from this state, the nurses asked whether I wanted to speak to someone. Initially, I was adamant that I didn't want a chaplain in case I ended up with some pious type offering platitudes. Worse still would have been an evangelical who, seeing me prone in bed, may have preached fire and brimstone to his captive audience. I had seen such pastors before, walking around the hospitals clasping a Bible, looking to see who was next on their hit list. But sensing my apprehension, a nurse fetched Robin, who promptly arrived, tall and white-haired with piercing blue eyes. She coached me through the next dreadful days as I gathered up pieces of my shattered self. Only now did I register that Donal was gone, no matter how many times I called for him from the hospital bed through the night. I lay and cried, and Robin listened. What was he like? She asked. Describe him to me. Trying to do this was a sudden and fresh form of hell, because how could I even start to talk about him in the past tense? To say that he had brown hair and had blue sparkly eyes and that there was always a slight catch in his voice as though he may laugh at any minute. It was this and his kindness and his huge appetite for all that life had to give that now lay crumpled on the mountainside. It was the waste of it, the sheer stupidity of a fall and an accident that had laid waste to all this energy. I don't recall everything that Robin said, but I remember her voice, her willingness to listen, and her gentle but insistent urging that I talk about him and what had happened. These talks were obviously to make clear in my head that despite my injuries and confusion, that I actually registered what had taken place.